made the turn, it kind of got into this field, so. Perfect. So then, I guess when he came up, he seen that was already fertilized, so he kind of stopped. So no biggie. So he's still okay. Okay, 123 is done. Now I think I reshaped this field because the end of this run was too close to the rocks, so I took off I took the small cedar, and I think I made 6 meters off the back end. I cut down, planted grass. That way there you wouldn't run into the rocks. I'm not going to worry about that little stripe in the middle there. I do play a lot of video games. I've been doing it ever since I was a kid. Grew up in the 70s, so Pong was our first one. And when it came out, my father bought it. A little console. The only thing it did was play Pong. And it had a couple of different versions of like what was called hockey, tennis. We used to play back then, there was no randomizer, so if you set your paddle at a certain spot, set the ball at a certain angle, it would stay in that same, bouncing back and forth forever. So me and my brothers, we'd be playing and it'd be dinner time, and we just set it up so it kept it like it was, because back then there was no save game, nothing like that. In fact, I think they still got those machines out. You can go online and actually see an emulator for it that you can play on your own computer. Show you how it was, just black and white. Had big paddles or a small paddle. That was like the handicapper. It was set up similar to like hockey. Had 2 openings at the end of your net, and if the puck went in, that was your goal, or tennis if you missed it. And then similar to the early arcades like Breakout, where after a certain while it speeds up a little bit, and then the angle changes a little bit. So him there. So back up to the green farm again. So he just finished 78. So I'm going to just head down this road and hit 79. Excuse me. 78 already did, so I'm going to go right down to 79 and just wait from there. So I'll just wait right here for him. So get finished with that. This should be still good. He's done with 9, so yeah, head up to 10. Actually, I should have checked on my harvester because he might be done by now. Keep forgetting about him. Get so busy planning, I just keep rotating. I'll do one more rotation and then cotton regrows itself, so I don't have to worry about planting those fields. But I don't want to get too close to them to where my seed or my fertilizer gets caught up in them, because they are seeding near those fields. So I can take this one right to field 9 and get him going. Put him I realized he was a little tough getting up the hill in the grass when I'm going to put this guy between 9 and 10. Up on the hill. So he'll be out of the way. Slow down. Okay. Oop. Wrong key. What do I need? Okay, that was 62. Here. That must be 27. This is 19, the one I want. So I can try to keep the directions of the fields I'm planting. Or I just turn around and hit the next field. Blue field, so 19, still barley. should refill my seeder here, or my fertilizer. I think I might have fertilized this one already. Sometimes it's hard to tell on my map. I think I already did this field, but yeah, it's dark. I already did this one, so he's on 19, so I'm gonna hit 62 here. I live in Southwest Florida, and about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, we start getting our thunderstorms for the night. So I just heard my first crackle. And I'm going to stick him between 62 and 19. Okay, let's see where I'm at. That was 34. I'm going, gotta go down that direction anyway, so I might as well go ahead and hit this little strip here. After 34, I go to field 20. After 20, I go to 39, so I'll go ahead and go down to the end of this field here. Really don't matter, so I gotta come back anyways. Actually, I would save either way. Oop, turned the wrong way. sign. Let's go ahead and go this way. Hopefully it won't hit. Oh, I'm already out. Damn it. My dude's on the other side too. Okay. Since I'm on this side of the field, I'll go ahead and start with this side. That way they all end up on the opposite side on field 20, which will put me right in line to go to field 130 or to field 39. Starting looks good. Perfect. I just move him down. In between these two fields. Park him right here. Let's see. Yeah, we're Mr. Purple. Okay, 58. Now he goes to 57, which is to the south. And I'm going to head all the way over to right here. I know I'm running over my newly seeded field, but that's fine. See which field he was on. He was on 61, so he's gonna head down to 58. Just made it to the edge there. So I'm going to put this guy here in between 57 and 56. Okay, let's see. Oh, they actually did run into each other. Crap. I thought you beat them out. Search is no problem. Sitting there wasting all my... Yeah, that's the only one bad thing. Sat there and wasted all my seeds. Actually, I shouldn't have started him yet. I'm just going to leave him right here for now. I don't know why I started him on the 122 yet. Unless he came over on his own, but I don't think he would have. Sometimes if the fields are too close together, when they make their turn, they'll pick up the next field. So you gotta be careful on some maps that, especially seeding fertilizer, don't matter because it's gotta be done anyways, but the seeding, if you want to change crops on a field from one to that's close by, then you may get the other field automatically seeded if you're using hires and don't get back to them in time. So just see that guy there for now. So I'm back to the top, so I'm going to go check on my harvester. He should be... purple harvester. He's waiting for his... He's still going on 60, which he should have been done by now. And why is he sitting there waiting? Let's see. Oh, never sent him off. That would explain it. There he goes. Sitting there all this time. Forgot to push drive. During my normal harvesting season, I'll use an overloader, an auger wagon, and it works pretty good with course play. I set up a trailer, the big trailer, and I'll park them between 4 fields, or 5, and then I just have the auger go to that truck, rather than going all the way back to the silo and back to the field each time. these harvesters only fill up to 14,000 liters of crops, so which a lot of times they were sitting waiting for him to come back. So basically I got like two trailers for the use of one. So I set that all up in course play, and I've got all the routes already set up, so when I do my harvesting, it's next time I do my harvesting, it's already all set up for me. Okay. Got about 30 more minutes for my stream to end. So I'll just continue with my seeding until that time. Okay. I always double check by turning around and see which field I'm pointing at, so I know which one I was at. So after 79, I head over to 85. Run this game off an Asus laptop. It's got it's an i7 quad core. I have a dedicated video card, 3 GB GeForce 670 GTX M from Mobility. I got 16 megabytes or gigabytes of RAM. It's got 2 solid-state hard drives, which total about 750 gigabytes. I use an extra mouse. I also have a USB hub, and on that I have 2 external hard drives, plus a bunch of thumb drives. But one of my external drives bit the dust. I think it was my 1 terabyte one, so I can't access that no more for some reason. And I got my other one's 1.5 terabyte. So that one's still going strong. I think I got both of them almost at the same time. I believe they're Seagates, which is usually a pretty good brand. Or they West? No, I think they're Western Digitals. But I got a second monitor hooked up through my HD port, and that's a 20. I think it's a 21-inch monitor. So when I downloaded the OBS software to stream, I read the instructions, and the one thing said when you're doing with laptops, the way the videos are set up, the graphics chips, is there are actually 2 of them, which I didn't know that. I thought it was just I thought I just had the one, but they said for normal spreadsheets and stuff like that, it uses the onboard chip. But when it games, then that's to conserve battery power. But when you're gaming, that's when it uses the graphics card. And when I do a screen capture or a game capture rather, even though I have the game on my main screen, it will not show up at all. And that was one of the things he said in the video I was watching. Was he said that's the way it is. So luckily I do have a second monitor, and I have to do the game in windowed version in order to get it to my second monitor. So that's why you may see a little bit of the window frame in it. I tried to blow it up as much as I could. What else? But it's, yeah, I bought this in 2006. So this is the longest computer. Well, I do have another computer I use that's way old. Actually my first laptop is still going. That was an HP. That one I just use for financial stuff. But when Windows, I think 7 first came out, you get 3 computers you can put on one license. So what I did was one of the licenses I used for that computer, but for some reason I couldn't get back my audio. So now that one doesn't have no audio sound at all to it. And I tried downloading drivers and stuff, and it just, for some reason, won't take. But that laptop's only got 1 gigabyte, and that's exactly what Windows needs to run. So I'm a little bit short on power on that one, so I just use that one for my financial program. Did have another laptop after that one, which was another gaming computer. It was called an FX. I think it was a Gateway, actually. That one, the hard drive crashed on that one. And so I always had a desktop and a laptop, so I went to my desktop. I was using my desktop for gaming anyways. But and then after that, I was going out of town for quite a while, so I bought another laptop to take with me, and that's what I'm using now. But then my desktop, my 2 hard drives on that one crashed. They were both Seagates, and it was shortly. They didn't last too long, which surprised me. I've always had hard drives last on me most of the time. Usually, of all the computers, every 3 years I'd buy a new computer, because advances were so much and the games were requiring more power. So I would always, it was cheaper to buy a whole new system than it was to rebuild one from scratch. By the time you do the operating system, you know, your different software, it adds up. So for $500-600 bucks, I get a brand new system with a brand new operating system. You know, whatever the new Windows was out at the time. So yeah, this one I gotta go this way, I think. So anyways, so I got a bunch of computers laying around, and I still have my original computer I ever bought back in the early 80s was the Commodore VIC-20. Some of you old guys might know that one. It was pretty cool at the time. Very inexpensive compared to the Apples. The Apples back then were like $3 grand. The Commodore or VIC-20 was like $2.99 I think at the time, and it had I think 16,000 kilobytes of RAM to it. Yeah, it's pitiful compared to what they got out now. Yeah, it was pretty rough. It had text. All the games were in text, so it was a text adventure. They were programmed to do 2 words. So on your screen you would have like the earliest ones were the Legends of Zork. There was 1, 2, and 3. I bought all 3 of them. And you'd have to imagine yourself in the world of Zork, and you'd do instruction like go north, and then when you type that in, it had certain commands that would recognize. Your first one would be your action or your direction, then your second would be the action. And I need some. Went right by my. Need a refill. Anyways, actually I'm close to the my farm. I'll just refill there. That way I don't have to refill the overloader here when I get further away from the field. But anyways, it's a neat little program, neat little computer. Then they came out with the Commodore 64, and exactly what it means. It had 64,000 K of RAM. That one got into a sound chip, little better graphics. That one, it was starting to do the graphics chip finally came out, so you would have pictures only. You wouldn't have no motion, but you'd have still the same type of game. It was an adventure game. The biggest one out there was called King's World, or King's. Let me see, King's World, I think it was, or something to do with Kings or something. And there was actually, I think, 5 versions of that. And it was written by a woman. The storyline, and they put it to a computer adventure game. And what that would do like cutscenes, like when you go from one screen to another one, it would show the graphic of whatever you're looking at. Then the next computer they built after that from Commodore, and Commodore is like the low budget computer, but it was very powerful at the time. Very affordable. And then they had the Commodore 128, which was mainly for businesses, but it did play all the games. The cartridges that the VIC-20 actually used could still fit in the 64 and the 128. And with the 64 and the 128, you could actually take the Atari cartridges from the 2600 and play those on the Commodore. So that was pretty good, because you could play your console, and you could use your computer to play the games without no adapter. But back in them days, everything was DOS, which was a disk operating system, and you had to program your computer each time you loaded up a disk to whatever you had in it. Like if you had a floppy drive, was the only loading system they had. They first came out with a 5.25. You probably still see them out in the computer stores. Then a couple years later, they came out to 3.5 inch discs. So I still got all mine. I still got a bunch of blanks. They did come out a a cassette tape version, which was only for backup. You could save games onto it. But to start your program, you had to do a batch file to tell the computer where to find the game on your disk. What the games would do is they would load up on your little disk, and then you'd have to tell it on the screen, like load, and then used to as a general, for a game it was just a published game, you just had to use the asterisk. So it'd be load, quotes, asterisk quotes, comma 8 would be for your disk drive. And then if you had 2 disk drives, you can daisy chain them, and you could have like up to 256 of them. And you just do a comma 1 for the first one, comma 2, second one, comma 3. Or no, comma 1 was like an attribute. The daisy chain them, you could do 2 of them. I'm sorry, you could do 8 or 9. So there was a switch, I think, on the hard drives that was either for an 8 or for a 9. So you could have 2 drives on one serial port, daisy chained, and to access one or the other one, you'd have a comma 8 or comma 9, and that would recognize the hard drives, or the disk drives rather. After the 128, Commodore came out with the Amiga, but by that time the computer stores were fading out Commodore stuff for some reason, but the IBM PC compatibles, like a Zenith and Hewlett Packard, Packard Bells especially, started really coming out full force with more memory, better games, was starting to get more popular. So back then everything was called IBM PC compatible. Now you don't even hear that no more anymore. All you hear is PC game, because most games now comes with both versions, Windows or PC version. So you never hear too much about IBM anymore, because actually they got out of the personal computer business, and the new name is called Levico, and that's actually IBM's personal computer line. They just renamed it. So if you ever see any Levecos or Levicos, however you pronounce it, that's actually an IBM computer. But back then IBMs were still very expensive, so Packard Bell was the low end back then. So, but I've had quite a few Packard Bells. They were computers. And they did its job. I've had quite a few. Very seldom had problems. But I did get a certificate in microprocessors and microcomputers, so I knew how to tweak them and do the parameters. Because if you added a sound card, you had to tell the computer what sound card you had. Okay, I'm on 62 here. Let's see, it's done 19. So everybody used to call me up and say, "How do you get this to work? How do you I can't get this thing to work," and this and that. So that was way before Windows came out. So that's when people like me had tons of work to do. When and Windows finally came out. Actually, Commodore had a Windows version before Microsoft ever did. It was from Berkeley Software, and it had a GUI program, which was a graphic user interface, and it was similar to like Windows. You had the little icons on the screen. It was basically for word processing and spreadsheets. It came with like a word pad. Came with similar to like a Excel, and I had a couple other programs with it. You can get on the internet, so I had the little icons, and you can make your little icons and shortcuts just like you do with Windows. So if everybody thinks Windows was the first, point and click, not really. Maybe for business, but for a personal computer, Berkeley had the first one. And like I said, I had it for the Commodore, so yeah, that was back then in the days. Internet, you used to have to pay for that by bit. You get so much per month. It was pretty cheap. It was like it cost you like $10 a month, $5 a month. Prodigy was my first internet service provider. It was the old dial-up modems. Oh God, it took forever. Back then it was only 2400 baud rate, and downloading stuff or stuff like that was, you're talking hours. Now it's like 2 seconds for 100 megabyte program downloads in about 10 seconds. It would take days, even weeks back then for a dial-up modem. Okay, put him. Yeah, about 10 more minutes, guys, and I'll be wrapping up the stream. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Actually, I'll park him probably right about here. Here's my orange pickup truck sitting in the middle of the road. Actually, this guy's sitting on the road, so I'll park this guy right here. I can use this spot for a while. See if he's in the road or not. He's good to go. Okay. He should have came off number 20. So after 20 I go to 39. So I head up to the north end of the field. This is another L-shaped offset field, so you gotta remember, if you end up on this north end, that there's still a section to the east that has to be done. Luckily the map on the mini map shows the little jet out, so make sure this field is still a sunflower. Yep. So 34 is done. Now why did he... Yeah, see, he did the same thing. He oversprayed from 33 So when he came up this one end, he thought he was done. So he's still got quite a bit left to do. Yeah, I don't miss those dial-up days. That was bad. Then even today, 56,000 kilobytes per second is the max phone lines can do. So, but you're only paying $10, but there were some free ones out there. Net Zero was free for a long time. You just have to have a local number to dial to, so you didn't have to worry about long distance chargers. But if you lived far away, you'd have your internet payment plus your long distance charges, so that could add up. But then if you went over your limit, it was maybe 10 million megabytes or something like that, whatever the data was at the time. But your statement would show you how much you use. As much as I did online, I played a little bit of games online, but mainly it was Prodigy was more of an information like reference spot, reference site. So I did a little bit of online. Plus sites like Pogo had like these little internet-based games like they do now, like Facebook is. It's got those little game apps. It was similar to that. That's what I played. You know, like bingo, and did like crossword, Scrabble, chess. Played backgammon. Played games like that. Card games. And it was somebody came out with a like a virtual world where it was on a CD. You installed it, and it had like almost like a map. You go from house to house, and different houses had different rooms where you can meet people, chat, play games in another one. There was a kids section. There was an adult section. So back then there was a lot of that's where the internet sex started out. Nothing graphical, but it was just all words. So some of the people in there that were talking about stuff is, today it's really hardcore compared to then. But that was hardcore back then. We just seen it on print. So, good old days of early computing. But computers grew so fast. It was like every 18 months it like doubled in size, doubled in power. Stuff like that. So me and my friend of mine that I worked with, we used to get the computer magazine or the paper, and they were advertising systems. We used to, they used to be real expensive. Like there was one we seen a gaming, it was decked out to the max. It was like 17 grand for just a computer that's not even a tenth of what today's are. So we used to laugh. About every 6 months a new CPU chip would come out. Between Intel and AMD, they're both trying to outdo each other. Alright, that was, can't tell if that was, okay, that was 56. Actually, I thought I was on 57. 57 is him. Oh, I am on 57, okay. So after 57, I go to 55. Oop, gotta get some seeds. Yeah, so that was back in the days. That was back in the 90s. Now I think computers slow down a bit. You don't see them turning over CPU chips as quickly. Oh, there goes my dinner bell. So, I'll fill him up and get him started, and then I'll sign off. But yeah, I don't think. I think i7 is still the biggest Intel chip. They may have had 8 cores now. I think I've seen a chip that said 16 core not too long ago. Really expensive, but maybe a couple years. I think mostly everybody still uses 4 cores, from what I've been seeing on the forums about what they're using. I did see an 8 core. Somebody had an 8 core. So I think he had an i7. Intel is their CPUs back were mainly, they don't overclock them out of the package unless specifically done so. AMDs are always overclocked, so that's why AMDs were a little bit cheaper, because Intels you could actually overclock them and be faster than what you actually have that came with the system. But they found out that overclocking wears them down quicker, so they won't last as long. I mean, you still probably get three years out of them, but they'd burn up after about that much time. So they'll start overheating and causing problems. But AMD built theirs overclocked out of the factory, so their base speed might be, a half a gigahertz less, whatever. So, but they overclock them to equal what the Intels were doing. But since they were using a lesser size chip to start with, they were able to sell them cheaper. AMDs were known to be good for gaming, where the Intels were good for business. Personally, I kind of like the Intels a little bit better, only for reliability. I did have some AMDs. Nowadays, I think they're pretty much equal. I don't think they're one or the other is good. Depends on what you want to use. Intels are better for multitasking. If you need, a lot of spreadsheets or even CAD programs, stuff that's really taxing on the CPU, Intel's a little bit better. Some may disagree, but from what I've read and what I know of following things, reading tech magazines. Let's see, 55. Look at my schedule here. That's the red, or it's purple. 55 is all him still. So I'm going to finish up this one round of seeding, and then I'm going to shut her down. He needs some more fertilizer, so I'll get him refilled, and then looks like I'm out of fertilizer there. So I have to head back to my farm, so I'm just going to let the hired man buy my seeds on this one. like I said, I don't need the money anymore, so I did download some placeable buildings today. I got one farm. I want to get a bigger pole barn to put my harvester in. It's the only one that doesn't have a big one, so I don't have to park my side. And I got some big trailers that I want to get inside that don't fit in the smaller barns. So he's gonna have to head back to the farm and get some fertilizer. So, anyways, I think computers are pretty fascinating. Been following the robotics. They just had a competition where the robots had to do 8 manual tasks. One is to walk up and down stairs. One is to open a door. And it was like six other tasks they had to do. They didn't have a time limit, or yeah, they did. They had to do it in an hour. All 8 tasks, which to me seems a little long, but none of them got it done with less than an hour. Or was it 45 minutes? I'm trying to remember. Everyone was over the time limit, but not by much. Report I read, I think, was just one guy was, I think, 5 minutes over. The guy that came in second was 10 minutes over or something, maybe. And the other guy was just slightly more than that. There's some that just fell over completely. They fell down climbing the steps. But you're getting there. I don't know if I'll ever see it in my time in homes or like the Jetsons had, but there is one show that I'm glad they brought back to TV. I watched the other night, was BattleBots. That one show I loved back in, I think it was like 10 years ago, and they had it on for like 3 years, 2 or 3 years, and I thought those was cool as can be. And I'm glad to see it back on primetime actually now. I think, if I don't remember right before, I think it was either like Spike TV or I think had it shown before, or Sci-Fi. One of those channels I think had it. They were based out in San Francisco in this big arena. Probably some of you guys may have seen it already. They do that. And I also watch G4 when G4 used to be G4. Now I think Sci-Fi is showing it now. Is called computer game. Is a computer gaming ultimate gaming computer. Ultimate Computer Gamers. It's a contest where a bunch of these computer gamers that are professionals actually. Some do real good. Some make 50 grand. One of the highest guys, he makes 100 grand just playing computers all day long. They get sponsors and they go play in tournaments. What a nice life that would be. You all got well-known avatars, and some are skilled just in one genre. So all their competitions they'd all be in one house, and the loser leaves. Whoever loses the final battle. they do some real life competition, real world competition, and like one would be like similar to like paintball, but then their final battles are always computer games. They'd have a certain selection, certain game they'd be playing. You know, whether it's So You Can Dance or Dance Club or whatever the dancing ones are, driving ones. Some players go into the final battle that don't never played a certain particular game before in their life, so the other house members help them out, get some advice, stuff like that. So where am I going? This is the purples. I'm in crap, got stuck. So I'm in the wrong field right now. Wrong side actually. Let's get over here. So so 56, I'm gonna bring this over down to 55. That's where I'll need them next. Come on, get up the hill. Need some chains on this boy. Big tires, but he slips all the time. No power. Scotty, I need some more power. I'm giving you all she's got, Captain. Alright, let me see, I'll park him. I can park him right up here on this little mound. He can sit there for these 3 or 4 fields. White farm, once I get him going, I'll cut my video off, and thank you for watching if you did, and if you clicked on the follow, appreciate it. Pick that up, and I do go to the farming simulator forums, and you probably, if you check out that forum, I do answer a lot of questions there as much as I can. So let me check 122 real quick. I think there's a section here that I think no, I think this one's okay. I think, yeah, there is one section that an L shape, so let me just make sure I hit it. That's right, I did start there, or it did work out, but my didn't hit it though. My fertilizer. So I'll start him down this end. But yeah, appreciate you watching. This really didn't show much of the map, but I play quite a few hours a day on it. Almost 8 hours at least. So tune in for some more streams. Still learning to do some graphics on it and whatnot. Put together a little intro and an ending. I gotta do an ending screen. I did a beginning screen, intro screen. I just gotta make one for when I log off. Make it look a little more nicer. Drop me a line. Message if you want to show anything. I can do a video. I want to try and get into some tutorial videos. Start doing some of those because I get a lot of questions of stuff that's been asked millions of times and they say they can't find out where the answer's at. So that's where I really want to get into doing some of those, and I plan on doing some, check out some mod reviews. I've got test maps I do it on. I do have a test map of PV15 that I copied off one of my, this one here, I just, well, about a month ago, I made a duplicate of it, and I made another folder and made a test map. That way if I want to test a mod out to see if it works or not, if it's any errors, I won't have to mess up my current game to do it. So bring this up over between 121 and 122, and I'll close up this video. Coming up on 3 hours. So if you want to learn how to make maps, David from Dashnet does them every Tuesday and Friday at 7 o'clock. So that's where I'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, USA. So he's probably on his, it's like the 4th week now. 4th or 5th week. 4th week, I think. Now, and he does it twice a week, so. Let me see, it might be 6th week. It might be number 6 tonight. So anyways, that's it for me. So I hope you enjoyed this. I appreciate you watching. Click on my follow. I would appreciate it. Let me know if there's what you think of the video. Send me a message. And so that way I can improve. And that's it. So appreciate your watching, and hope you all have a good night. And I'll see you on the next time. Alright, thanks for watching.